We just got some crazy DC news straight from James Gunn, including info about both upcoming Batman movies, new info about Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, the possibility of a Marvel and DC crossover movie, and so much more. So let's get into all of this. And we're going to start with the Batman news, because between Robert Pattinson's The Batman Part 2 and James Gunn's new Batman the Brave and the Bold movie, we have so much news to get into. But let's start with him shutting down rumors that The Batman Part 2 was canceled. He went on to say that it's not canceled, we don't have a script, Matt's slow, which is kind of funny taken out of context. Let him take his time, let him do what he's doing. God, people are mean, let him do his thing, man. And as he said before, it's not very likely that Robert Pattinson's Batman will merge with the DCU, but he keeps saying not very likely, so it's not fully ruled out. And it's really more interesting with this next quote. By the way, this is all from a huge Rolling Stones interview he did, but he said that Batman is his biggest issue in developing the new DCU right now. And he said he's not writing the new Batman movie, but he is working with the writer of Batman and trying to get it right. Now, we still don't know who the writer is. And he says their two priorities are finishing their scripts for the new Wonder Woman movie that we just got confirmation of about a week ago, and our Batman scripts. And he knows that these characters are pivotal to DC, and he wants to make sure that these characters get their stories out there before it's like 5 years in the DCU. Now, James Gunn also went on to give a lot of details about what he wants from a new DCU Batman. First of all, he said he's not interested in a funny or campy Batman like we had a lot in the older days and stuff with the Joel Schumacher Batman movies, which I know a lot of people were thinking maybe James Gunn's gonna do that because, oh yeah, the Superman movie looks kind of really lighthearted, lots of silly moments and stuff, so they're like, oh, maybe he'll keep that same tone, but he knows that he has to stay away from that with Batman, it seems. The second point that he brought up is that Batman has to have a reason to exist in the DCU, and what he means by this is the fact that in this new DC universe, it's been confirmed that superheroes and metahumans like a Superman and other forms of him have been around for 300 years in this world, so people are familiar with people with powers. Obviously, that's Batman's kind of entire thing in the DC universe and in the Justice League, is being this incredibly smart and rich detective with all the tools at his disposal, and he knows how to figure everything out. He's never had superpowers, but it seems like James Gunn's kind of struggling on how to balance that with this new superpowered universe. He also went on to say that DC offered him to make a Batman movie back in 2020, so who knows, if this happened, we might never have gotten Matt Reeves' The Batman, which honestly would have been kind of tragic, but he declined because he was working on Guardians Volume 3. He did also confirm that the movie is still titled Batman the Brave and the Bold, which is kind of surprising because of other news we'll get to in a second, but I think he kind of has to do this because of how many Batman movies are out there. He has to keep the subtitle. The reason I'm a little surprised is because we've been dropping all the subtitles of these new DC films. Like Superman, if you remember, was originally announced as Superman Legacy, and then they smartly dropped the Legacy title, which I think was a good idea. It sounded like a sequel when it was the first film in a new universe. Now Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow has been retitled to just Supergirl, releasing next year. These sound like very minor changes, but I do think these are smart from a marketing perspective. You want to keep the titles as fresh and bare bones as possible to let the general audience know, like, hey, yeah, this is a brand new Superman and a brand new Supergirl. You can go in and watch this. There's no other movies before it or anything like that. It's going to be very interesting, honestly, to see how Supergirl fares at the box office next summer. The reality of the box office is that a lot of these woman-led action movies really underperform. Like Harley Quinn, incredibly famous character, her movie barely made $200 million. Ballerina's probably going to finish under $200 million. Furiosa lost like an insane amount of money, only made about $150 million at the box office on big budgets. Even though I think Birds of Prey is garbage, these other two are good movies. The simple reality is that women want to watch movies with women in the lead, just like guys watch more movies with guys in the leading role. That's who you relate to. That directly clashes with the typical audiences of action and superhero movies. Like, obviously there are women out there that love these movies, but like Furiosa, woman-led action movie, 70% of the tickets sold were men. So these woman-led action movies end up in a weird spot where women aren't going and seeing the movies, but also less men are going in and seeing them than they would a typical action movie, unless it's something like Captain Marvel, where like everybody felt like, oh, I have to see this because it's so huge for Endgame. I do think it will do better than movies like Ballerina or Furiosa, though. Back to James Gunn's answers in his Rolling Stone interview. They asked him about a DC and Marvel crossover happening, and he says, we've talked about it a billion times. That could easily happen, but just having Spider-Man and Superman team up isn't gonna do it. If it's garbage, it's gotta come from a real place, and it's really hard to make that work. It's pretty much just more of what he's been talking about ever since he started this DC universe off, is that he's prioritizing the scripts over just characters and stories. He's saying like he just killed off a DCU project that he said everybody wanted to make the movie. It was greenlit, ready to go, but the screenplay wasn't ready or good enough, and he just couldn't do a movie where the screenplay isn't good, so he canceled it. James Gunn also gave us a teaser about the Superman sequel, saying that it's not going to be a direct sequel, that he's going to team up with a character in it. If you want to hear more about that and the Wonder Woman movie, click the video above my head right now, and thank you so much for watching.